Beep beep boop boop beep beep boop boop brr, 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 brr. Do I ever have a rough day and do a shot of fucking like ranch dressing? Man, I've never had that rough of a day. I have a rough day, but I mean, come on, here and there, but ranch dressing? What kind of bed does Bezos sleep on at night? I don't know, but I bet it's a kind that you can't buy off of Amazon. I'm gonna guess it's some specialty kind that's not available for us plebs on Amazon. I'm gonna guess. I had to take a stab at it. Woof, 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 and a bark, bark, bark. Yip, 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 and a bark, bark, bark. You're such a good boy, D. Thank you for not being a barky, barky. Thank you for not being a barky, parky. You're a good boy. You bark sometimes, but it's not all the times, huh? Yeah. He's got a special water bed made from the ball sweat and taint sweat of all of his overworked employees. He has a coffin. I could see that. I could see him like lowering himself into the coffin at night, straight back, you know what I mean? I'll see you in the morning. And by the morning, I mean the evening. Uh, uh, uh. Oh, yeah. He has somebody collect all the pissy water bottles from around all his fulfillment centers and shit. And pours all the work piss into a big fucking water bed, and he just keeps it nice and full with fresh work piss every day that workers weren't allowed to take a quick restroom break and relieve themselves of. Nice and warm, fresh piss. Nice, fresh, warm piss. Isn't that right? Dirty, dusty, D. Isn't that right, my furry friend? Isn't that right, my furry friend? What do you say was the worst moment in Trump's presidency? The worst moment? Like, what do we, like, worst for who and worst by what metric? Talking like the most embarrassing, like, cringy moment that he did? Or like the most, like, evil thing that he did? Or like, what do you mean by worst? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of tough. Really, like, and this is a brilliant strategy. Trump fucked up and said so many stupid things that it's actually, in retrospect, hard for me to remember specific examples of dumb shit that he said. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Him saying that, like, a hurricane was the wettest he'd ever heard of from the standpoint of water. Him claiming that, like, he heard rumors that you could inject bleach or like Windex into your veins or whatever the fuck. That's an L that it's hard to come back from, you know what I mean? Yeah, he did make a suggestion that maybe the United States military should fly a plane over the eye of a hurricane and drop nukes in it to, like, stop it. That happened. I think that moment where he, like, cucked himself in front of Putin at that live press conference where he said Mr. Putin was very strong in his denials, and I don't see any reason not to believe him. He's, like, basically, like, sucked Putin's dick at a press conference because he was so enamored of a dude that actually had, like, clout and power, and he was trying to emulate it, that he just couldn't help but blow the guy in front of the nation, and everybody was like, what? That was fun. Putin had that smile on, of course. He always does. That knowing little Putin smile, that little. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He did think that, like, we had a plane that's literally invisible. Like, he clearly heard some kind of military briefing that talked about how, like, some stealth bomber was better at, like, avoiding radar and lidar detection and laser detection and shit. And he was like, what he took away from that, because he's a toddler that fucking writes everything in crayon, was that we have a super invisible plane that nobody could see, and piloting that plane, Wonder Woman. Oh yeah, like, we had that solar eclipse, and remember, like, there was an AP picture of Trump outside, like, staring directly at the sun like an idiot and pointing as if he could see anything but pain up there. Oh yeah, that was fun. I remember that one where he, like, openly started blabbing classified information to the Russian premier. He like blew the lid off of something that we were doing, like, just bragging to the Russian premier. Oh, what a dipshit. Dude, yeah, there's a lot of them. I haven't actually gone back and done, like, a retrospective, thought about the Trump administration and how many dumb fuck things he did. Oh my god. Oh, did you guys see that fucking Zoom call where AOC said that the Biden administration has definitely exceeded expectations and that they've conducted themselves in totally good faith. Have you seen that shit? The AOC simps have gone like fucking dead ass quiet. You know, like, have you guys ever been involved in a record skip moment? Like, you've seen these in movies, right? Where somebody says something stupid, ignorant, racist, or whatever the fuck, and like the record in the club skips and the whole club goes like, you know, obviously they're exaggerated in movies, but everybody's, you know, you've lived through a record skip moment, right? Where somebody just said something so unconscionably dumb or backwards that everybody in the room is speechless for a couple of seconds. AOC simps are living in like a fucking, going on like 3-month long like existence in that awkward silence that hangs after somebody says something that you don't know how to fucking deal with. Like, at first they were really defensive of her, but now they've all just gone cricket silent as exactly what I said would happen has happened. She has been all but fully assimilated into the fucking centrist DNC wing of the party. She walks the Pelosi path openly and unapologetically. And all of these people that told me like, oh, look what happens when you don't vote. We never would have got AOC. And it turns out it didn't matter if we never would have got AOC because her intention was to just do what the last person that held her seat did. And it's almost like I make this argument, right? And at first, people would come at me with like, well, she said one thing, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I just a little disappointed, maybe not worded wrong, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, almost like as if she was giving me a gift. It was like, she started every 3 days saying something unconscionably stupid and announcing to the world that she had fully joined the fucking Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, fucking center-right DNC wing of the party. And that she can't stop doing it. And all these fucking leftists and shit that poured all their fucking big talk and all their big fucking plans and shit into this electoralism thing are now just fucking cricket chirping on it. They're talking about Trump again and shit. Last time I checked in on the on BreadTube, they're still hung up on Trump. That reminds you of anything? Those of you that lived through the Obama administration? Or the Obama administration, whichever you prefer to call it. Crickets from fucking BreadTube on AOC just continuously fucking knifing them in the back as they continue to simp. Nothing but fucking roses and self backpats because at least it not Orange Man, while the status quo literally marches forward unabated. Still building the wall. Deporting people at a faster pace. Still fucking fracking. Still building pipelines through Native American land. It sucks. It sucks to be in this fucking position, but it's like, how do I avoid like going, I told you so, I told you so. Like, how are people gonna fucking learn? Unless there's a person like me who they're gonna fucking get all panties in a twist about, paint to be some fucking do-nothing loser, and then it turns out that the do-nothing loser that you spent all this energy arguing against was right about everything. Like, how are people gonna learn if I just go like, if I do like the, well, yeah, you know, quiet, and I'm just gonna, you know, I'll be a gracious winner. It's like, it's not how these motherfuckers learn. They have to be reminded that they took positions against you. You have to be reminded that they simped for AOC when I was talking shit. When I saw the writing on the wall that AOC was a fucking functional DNC Democrat, I started calling her on it months ago. And here she is. She's arrived. And everybody's just like, all those fucking people that told me how stupid and ignorant I was back then. Crickets. You hear it. People keep putting their eggs in this fucking basket and acting like they're doing anybody a favor. They're doing the establishment a favor by allowing it to continue this farcical fucking back and forth between two functionally similar parties and pretending like it's big change so that everybody's goddamn fucking political ambitions and political passion is funneled into the dog dump that is fucking the Biden-Harris administration. What a nightmare. It's like, I'll say it over and over again, too, because these motherfuckers cannot deny it. AOC has moved millions of Americans to the left. No, she's moved millions of leftists to the center. Get it right, dipshit. She's moved millions of passionate young leftists to the center by portraying herself as somebody that was on their side, but voting with the other side. Yeah. She's moved thousands of young leftists to the political center. Go look at the fucking Zoom call she was just on, where this firebrand politician that you said has moved thousands of people to the right, or sorry, Freudian slip, to the left. Where's she at? Go listen to what she just said about the Biden administration. How's that moving to the left? How is simping for a corporate centrist moving anybody to the left? I'll wait. Sick of hearing this shit. AOC's moved tons of people to the left. No. AOC pipelined a bunch of really young, really impressionable, but really passionate leftists and turned them into people who make apologetics for the status quo with her charisma. Whoops. Have I been duped? Am I a useful idiot? Have I allowed the status quo to go on pretty much unabated, but pretended like it isn't? Because it behooved me? Because somebody who I liked more than somebody else said it? Oh no, what do? Double down, triple down, triple down. Man, the fucking ballet dance that it must be in the minds of people who don't have principles. Who just follow whatever the fucking trend is with their finger up in the air to see which way the wind is blowing and make a bunch of takes based on other people's fucking opinions. Let themselves be led around on leashes, and then all of a sudden they find themselves out in the middle of nowhere with their collar and leash dangling behind them and nobody to walk them anymore, and they're like, uh-oh, what do now? All the people who were so boisterous about this fucking opinion have disappeared, and the only thing that was left was the people I argued against, who were right about everything. How do I do? How do I say I was wrong? I shit you not, dude. That's what it is. You think the hang-up is different than that? Nope. It is literally, we have a hang-up of fucking ego. We have a crisis of ego in this country. Because people that are leftists, that follow these fucking left bread tubey type of personalities, are just fucking taught how to react, how to disseminate that information, and the thought that that person is wrong fundamentally, or has been wrong fundamentally, doesn't even enter their fucking mind. It's religious level thought. And when that person fails and what they fucking proclaimed was true never comes to pass, it must have been some bad faith actor that caused it. It couldn't be that the person that I'm listening to and thus fucking carbon copying the opinions of was wrong. My ego couldn't stand such a blow. So I'm going to keep on fucking doubling and tripling down until I'm just an unrecognizable suburbanite, centrist, center-right, corporate monger leftist. Like, you guys, where do you guys think those people come from? I love this argument. People are always like, man, yeah, fucking, we gotta, the center people and the center people are just right people. We gotta, like, where do you think those people are coming from? You think they're just growing like weeds somewhere? No, they're made by this political process that doesn't give people shit they can latch onto other than oppression and the unchanging march of anti-social progress. It's just constant. Cricket, I mean, like, I made a fucking post about AOC the other day, and TJ, who's been a pretty big defender of her in the past, responded with, "I like her Twitter!" exclamation point. So that's the last time I heard from TJ about AOC. That's all she is, a Twitter. Yeah, I know. I kind of think he was being ironic about it, like stating that, like, really her Twitter is all she's done, because that's true. But people didn't, like, a lot of the people in the replies didn't take it that way. Didn't, it kind of flew over their head if that's the case. Do you think Biden will live through? I don't know. Dude, that's such a boring question to me. I hate people that are just obsessed with, like, me looking into a crystal ball and going, yes, sim, salabim, Joe Biden will survive a presidency. It's like, how the fuck do I know that, bro? Some people live to like 120 and some people croak at 30 from fucking heart failure. What do you want me to, like, just what a boring, dumb fuck, zero IQ question. Do you think the dude will die or not? My answer to that going forward, you can stop asking, is maybe. And that's true of anybody. Put any human being that's currently alive in the blank, and my answer is maybe. Maybe, and then semicolon, eventually. I hate those types of questions, man. I really do. I really, like, it gets my fucking goat when people ask me dumb shit. We're sitting here talking about, like, politics. We're talking about the perception of sold out politicians and how it funnels people's passions away from the left and towards the center in defense of the status quo. We're talking about that shit, and somebody goes, do you think that Biden will die? Like, are you a fucking third grader, bro? Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Just take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. There's 100% possibility that Biden will die someday. Hey, Paul. Hey, Paul. Listen, Paul. Listen, Paul. I know you're talking about like important shit, politics and participation and direct action and moving forward with the future and stuff, but man, I gotta ask you something, dude. Do you like muffins or cupcakes better? Do you like a muffin or a cupcake better, Paul's ego? Do you like muffins? Do you like cupcakes? I just hate dumbass fucking questions and shit. I like blueberry muffins. Um, dude, guys, I was making fun of you. I wasn't actually asking what the fuck you think about muffins. You dumb motherfuckers. I was making fun of your inability to carry on a cogent adult conversation for 5 seconds. Not asking you your actual fucking opinion about muffins. God diggity damn. Dude, the digital online small talk shit is fucking mind-boggling to me. Like, to a certain extent, it's all right to be like, hey, Paul, what up? Or how you doing? Like, that's a natural kind of human thing. But the beyond, like, people will just ask me, like, questions like that you would ask your grandma or, like, that your grandma would ask you, you know, one way or the other. Like, they'll be like, has the weather been nice? And I'm just like, fuck, what do I do with this? Ignore it. Hey, Paul, what you drinking? And my answer is always the same: water. You know what I mean? It's like small talk shit, like we're old buddies or like we're fucking like coworkers or something, like talking around the water cooler and shit, like just like meaningless blah 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 small talk shit. Yeah, just brain dead fucking like like the same like the shit you just say on autopilot to everybody else, but you do it digitally to a dude that's streaming who'll talk about pretty much fucking anything and has a pretty fucking strong opinion about pretty much anything. Yep, it is King of the Hill. It's all, but like, you know what the thing is? Those guys were actually funny. Like, a lot of people don't realize that that wasn't funny because they were standing around being funny. It was funny because they were laughing at the people that were watching it, standing around being do-nothings, had nothing to say, empty-headed buffoons. Like Hank and all his friends standing around and going like, hot weather today. Oh, yeah. Probably be hot tomorrow. Like, that's not the joke. The joke is you're the joke. The joke is so many fucking people in the world are that. Whoops. I just don't get it, dude. For even as you study me, I study you. You think I'm not taking something away from this shit like you do? You don't feel any culpability for that fucking shit? What do you think my thoughts are? Here's a deep one, Paul. What 3 major things would you change within our world to lead us towards your idea of the best possible situation for humanity? That sounds like a really poorly worded speed dating question, old Pricklebush. Like, I don't mean to be a dick about it, but that really sounds like a really poorly worded speed dating question. It was almost as bad as, have you ever, do you ever, did you ever, do you believe, have you believed, can you believe, did you, do you believe, can I believe, do you believe I can believe, that you, can do you believe ever that you think that you believe that you could do anything? Like you were one shade above that with that question. That really did. I honestly felt like you're trying to speed date me with that one. I did. I felt like you were either speed dating me or I was a finalist contestant in Miss America. Like honestly, that's what that question actually made me feel like, old Pricklebush. It's either I'm in a speed dating situation and you just asked the most awkward speed date question of me ever, or I'm like a semi-finalist for Miss America, right? And they're like, they ask me some dumb fucking question like, what are the 3 things about the way the world works that you would change to make things better? Yes. Well, I'm very concerned about countries such as the Iraq and the Afghanistan, and I think that we should. How's this for an answer to that fucking question, old Pricklebush? I don't think there's one thing that we can do to make it better, let alone 3. I think we are all proper dog fucked. And the party is about to be over. How's that for an answer, old Pricklebush? So what are the 3 things I think everybody should do to prepare for that? Number 1, you've heard this before, bend over. Number 2, crane your head back between your legs. And number 3, kiss your ass goodbye. A mass labor movement isn't going to fix the fucking environment, bro. So you don't understand. You don't listen to me. Like, I support a mass labor movement for better conditions for people while the earth isn't burning. But the writing's on the fucking wall, guys. Labor conditions are not going to be at the forefront of people's minds in like 5-10 years. Refugee crises are going to be on people's minds. You're already seeing it at the border. You think that's going to slow down over the next 5 years? Yeah, planet's dying. And it's not stopping. Like, we could all become the best little bright green fucking 0 carbon footprint motherfuckers right now. And the world is still going to end. The damage that we've done to this planet, it has been going on for fucking decades now. We're living in the middle of a mass extinction event. The 6th that we've been able to track in Earth's history. Maybe if we could achieve, no, I don't want to hear the I don't want to hear the fantasy sci-fi magic machine argument. I'm not even going to read it. Sorry, there's no digital god coming to save you. You don't have we don't have time to develop the technology for you to download yourself into a perfect digital cyberscape that you can't tell from reality, but that conforms to everything that you want. There's not time. In the next 20 years, about half of the planet is going to be moving north or south. I'll say that again. In about 20 years, about half the planet is going to be moving either north or south to flee uninhabitable and wasteland-like, desertified, and overly humid jungle-like zones where human beings can't live and a lot of species can't subsist. The equator of this planet is going to die in the next 10 years. And there are going to be 4 billion people fleeing that. And where do you think they're going to go? Even if that were true, you still need resources mined out of geopolitical hotspots. Oh, you're talking to somebody else, for sure. Is there anything realistically we can do, and now or in the next few decades? Yes. We can start talking as leftists about the coming collapse of the criminal, undermined fucking stock market and its overinflated, giant, unsustainable bubble. We can start preparing ourselves as leftists for the coming collapse, and we can start talking just as people, not leftists in general, but just as people, about how we might fucking come through this and come out the other end and do things differently, utterly and completely differently, so that this doesn't continuously happen cyclically to us. So yes, those are the things that we can do. But so far as inventing a magic laser that pews all the CO2 out of the atmosphere and shit and turns the ocean to a good pH balance and chills it out a little bit, that's not coming. So quit putting your faith in people that are smarter than you, because their smarts can't fucking dig us out of this hole this time. We've killed the planet as we know it. And it's, well, we've killed life on the planet as we know it. And it's dying a very slow death, just like it has in every other mass extinction event. Do you think the mass extinction events that preceded this 6th one that we're living in happened in 2 years or 10 years or some trackable human lifespan? It took thousands of years for the die-offs to happen. We're in the thick of it. You call me king one more fucking time and I'm gonna kick you. That's so weird. Like, I don't know if you're like trolling or what, but like the whole, oh yeah, king, you so cool, king, you too dope, king, yeah, you right, king, you dropped this, king, like that shit is like, that's what 12-year-olds do when like SoundCloud rappers make a post like, yeah, on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, don't talk to me like I'm a fucking 12-year-old. It's the reverse of Yas Queen. I hate that too. Don't throw that shit at me either. My question too dumb not to answer. I didn't read it, dude. I'll try and find it. I'm not like ignoring you on purpose. I just can't read every goddamn fucking comment, bro. The 90s kids are probably the last generation to experience the fat and plenty in American life. The land of milk and honey days are over. Yes, you're right about that, Blue Noble. Sorry I missed your super chat, but you are correct. Yeah, I'm not like ignoring you. I don't know how long ago. Okay, Paul, what was missing in all prior riots and protests in America that is needed for a proper, productive American revolution reform? I don't think that such a thing can be done. I don't think there's such like I don't there's no amount of revolutioning that can be done to save the planet. Those days are over, man. When my parents were raising me and I was 5, 6, they might have been able to fucking lay everything down and have a fighting chance at maybe mitigating some of this shit. But during my lifetime, this shit has been over. So, you know what I mean? They were warning us about this shit back in the 60s. My parents heard environmental warning messages about disappearing species and shit. And our culture, and when I say our culture, I don't mean just American culture, the global culture that dominates it, a culture based in capitalism and the growth of cities, has exponentially grown, doubled, tripled, quadrupled, and sextupled down on the problems of the 60s. Sure, you're making your parents proud in your shed? This look like a fucking shed to you, dipshit? Does it look like I'm sitting in a shed? This what a shed looks like where you're from? Would the eventual collapse in an anarcho-primitivist lifestyle would be the only thing to reverse the damage in a few centuries? That's not reversing the damage. That, like, look, what's happening to the world right now, the world will have to heal on its own. There's nothing that we can do to accelerate or decelerate the process of the die-off at this point. We've tipped over the edge. We're off the cliff now. So species are dying at an alarming and accelerated rate, even according to biologists' estimates from just 10, 15 years ago. Climate estimates from 10, 15 years ago are being usurped. Not saying like, oh, we were overblowing this, but like we undercut this by like half. Climate scientists are seeing a massive acceleration in die-offs and climate shift and the desertification of once verdant areas of the world and the destruction of biomes and ecosystems. The disappearance of fucking once abundant creatures from the planet is shocking. Do you know how, I don't know if you guys have been driving for 10 years, but do you know how much rarer it is to get a windshield full of bugs now than it was 10, 20 years ago? Because I've been driving for a long time. I used to drive around in places like where I live now, or pretty much anywhere. During the summer or spring, your whole fucking windshield would be covered in bug guts. Now, every once in a while, you get one or two. Do you think that's just because the bugs got smarter and started dodging the cars? There's no undoing that. It kind of sounds like a blessing, only if you're stupid and you don't realize the interconnectedness of the ecosystem and all life. Only if you think insects play no role in all the food your dumb fucking two-brain-celled ass eats. Yeah, the planet isn't going anywhere. We are. Yep. And when you say we, you don't just mean humans. You mean about 90% of all life on the planet, probably. Give or take 10%. The closest that we came to having no life on this planet was, what was it called? The Permian extinction event? Was that the one where like 99.97% of life on the planet disappeared permanently? This was, of course, without human influence accelerating the process. This is with non-poisoned oceans, filled to the brim with microplastics. You guys realize that in the last 10 years, the Great Barrier Reef, one of the most amazing and abundant ecosystems on the planet, has died? I'll say that again. The Great Barrier Reef off the southeastern coast of Australia, one of the most crazy... Joel, can somebody get Joel the fuck out of here? His emojis are fucking driving me nuts. Hard ban. No, not even a timeout. Get him the fuck out. I'm sick of every time I look at the chat seeing this dumb motherfucker that can't speak without 15 emojis. I want him gone. I want anybody that talks like him or looks like him gone from here on out. Standing order 66. Anybody else want to talk to me like a fucking toddler that's playing Roblox or some shit? Pipe up. I want that shit banned too. You can't be serious. I would suggest that you keep your mouth shut. If you're under 18, I would suggest you stop watching me and get the fuck off this channel. Unless you've read a book or two. If you're a typical brain-dead fucking cable news watching shitlib or conservative that has no take other than drooling moronism, I suggest you find somebody else to watch. You're not welcome here. See the door. You can't carry on an adult conversation? Sorry, you're not welcome here. See the door. Or at least have the courtesy to shut the fuck up and lurk. Quit talking like a bunch of fucking toddlers when we're talking about serious business. If you think the death of this fucking planet is toddler time, go find somebody else's stream to toddler up. Take your baby rattles and your mobiles and your little pacifiers over there. Find somebody else. Is there anybody in the chat that is not crystal fucking clear on what I've just said? If not, speak now or forever hold your motherfucking peace. This is not a kid's show. This is not a children's hangout. This is not time for you to spam emojis like you're watching some Twitch streamer and you're 13 and you're jerking off with one hand and typing PogChamp as fast as you can with the other. If I've said or conducted myself in such a way that made you think that's this type of content, I'm sorry that you're mistaken. Can I recommend Tyler1 on Twitch? You'd fit right the fuck in. Next time from here on out, you don't know how to type, you better get typing of the dead, motherfucker. Because if you type like you never went to school, you can't be in my chat. Anything else? Anybody got any questions about that? I don't know if you guys noticed, but this isn't on YouTube Kids. This is an 18 plus environment, and you'll conduct yourself like you're 18 plus up in here. You get the fuck out. You want to be a toddler or a 12-year-old, go toddle up somebody's Twitch stream that doesn't give a fuck about their stream. This is an adult's stream for adult conversations about adult things. Now, as I was saying, before a toddler decided to play with his toys up in here, the Great Barrier Reef, one of the most fucking diverse and important ecosystems on the planet, has gone in my lifetime from one of the most biologically abundant places on Earth to dead bone white. It's a graveyard now. Anybody else? Oh, I don't think you do get it, motherfucker, because then you wouldn't talk to me like you're a bored kid rolling his eyes at the back of the class. You're banned. I don't think you did get it. Nobody is compelling you to stay in this fucking stream. I'm not begging for you to stay. I'm not asking you to listen to me if you don't wanna. So if you want to roll your eyes like a teenager who's bored at social studies, go do it in somebody else's stream. Don't even type it if that's all you've got to fucking give me. $18 motherfucking plus. I'm gonna start putting it at the beginning and end of every one of my fucking streams. I am sick of this shit. New rule, you act like a kid, you're banned. This is an 18 plus stream. I don't care if you're 23, I don't care if you're 50. If I suss you out like a kid, if I smell bubble gum and brand new sneakers up in my fucking chat, you're banned. Adults only. Tell me to calm down again on another fucking account. Fuck stick. You didn't learn, did you? I'm not your dad. Okay? You don't get to talk to me with disrespect and then just sit and watch me adjust my glasses and, oh, you're grounded. You get bitch slapped. This ain't a place for children. And I'm not your daddy. I ain't having it. Anybody else? I'm sick of this shit, man. I'm dead fucking sick of it. This has been coming for so fucking long. No, we're going to go back to discussing the environment when I want to. We're discussing this now. Because this is why we can't discuss the environment in here. Or anything of seriousness. So now there's some new rules up in fucking Highdeology. If you're a child and present like a child and conduct yourself like a child, you are not welcome or wanted here. This is an 18 plus stream, and I expect adults. If you're under that and you can conduct yourself in a manner that doesn't sound like somebody's Twitch stream in the chat with endless PogChamp and Omega lol emojis, you're welcome to participate in my stream. I'll have no idea that you're not 18. But if you're a fucking 20-something who's still conducting themselves like they're Liddy McTitty, and they're talking in my chat like they're up in a Jake Paul live stream, you're not welcome here. Goodbye forever. You will be perma'd, you will be banned every time you pipe up, and you will not hear from me on the subject again. Propagate it and make it plain. Write it down on your hands with your little ballpoint pen out of your JanSport high school bag. 18 plus in Paul's streams. Period. Point blank. I am fucking dead sick of having streams where there are people that are desperately trying to fucking have a serious adult conversation and have it be pushed off the fucking edge by toddlers and kids and people that conduct themselves as such. One-word posts should be banned immediately. Mods, hop on it. Dude just posted fucking California. Insta-ban. You're not welcome here. Go make another fucking account. Gorn sounds like a manatee reference and a one-word post right after somebody got banned for one. Get the fuck out. This is not fucking 2015, and the Drunken Peasants podcast is not what it used to be. Keep your memes to yourself. Go be a 15-year-old over there. This is an adult place for adults to have conversations and to laugh with one another. Anybody else? I'll do it all night. I'll sit here for another fucking hour and do this shit. Do you know how much time I fucking have to waste dealing with this shit? And I put up with it, and I put up with it in the name of, like, trying to be good-natured and shit. But you know how fucking lame it is to be in the middle of talking about something that's really important to you and to look in the chat and see somebody just posting pee-pee emojis and shit? Like somebody's fucking, like, it's almost like 15, like Pranab's got 15 kids. And all of them got a hold of a different one of Pranab's devices, and he doesn't know about it. But every day, and way less cute and fun than that was. You feel me? I don't spend time around children. I see my nieces and nephews, and that's it. Occasionally. I don't start these fucking streams with the intention of children participating in them. If you're a child, if you're under the age of 18, you can participate freely so long as you conduct yourself in a manner that's conducive to the conversation. If you want to and troll and post one-word shit and emojis and nothing but, you're gone. I would honestly rather spend time with my nieces and nephews than the dumb fucks I spend time with in here. And if you're one of the people that's being talked to, you know who you are. And if you're not, you know who you are too. Like I said before, there are people in here that actually want to sit down and have a fucking adult conversation with me. They want to hear what I have to say. They want to hear what I have to say about what they have to say. And it is stymied by your nothing posting and your bullshittery and your failed attempt at trolling and your inability to conduct yourself like a fucking adult human who's living in the waning days of life on Earth. And I'm tired of it happening, y'all. I've been making these for years. And I'm tired of having good streams turn to shit streams. Because I'm lenient with people who act like a bunch of bubbleheads. No more. No more. So since we're on this fucking subject, I've made a fucking decision. I've been thinking about it as I'm sitting here and ranting, and I've been mulling it over in my head. So there's a change of policy on Highdeology. So I get called draconian all the time because I ban people who do the dumb fuck shit that I'm talking about in here, and then do mass unbans every month. So I'm going to do one more mass unban at an indeterminate date, and then there's going to be no more. Bans will be dealt with on a person-to-person basis and will only be able to get unbanned by me by asking for it. And if I get to you, you're unbanned. And if I don't, better go make another account. So no more mass. So I'll do one more, and then the mass unbans stop. You're going to steal my time with this fucking bullshit and the time of my moderators who give their time to try and make this a readable, enjoyable experience for me and you. You want to call me an authoritarian? You got it. There's a new sheriff in town. So one more mass unban at an indeterminate time so people have a chance to participate if they want to. Then from here on out, every ban's a perma. And we're going to stop timing out too. Timeouts are going to be for people who just go a little over the edge or get a little too heated or whatever, minor infractions only. If a child or somebody with the mind of a child is suspected, perma ban from here on out. So now I am on a power trip. Here's your power trip. This is an adult-only space. And anyone who even sniffs out like they're not going to conduct themselves as such is gone. I'm not going to announce when I do the mass unban, but you can just assume that starting tonight, permas all around. No questions, no fucking talking to you, no more allowing you to derail a fucking stream. I'll mod as many fucking trusted fucking fellow travelers as I need to. And that will be that. Somebody ban John Zapper, please, for being a creepy fuck in my chat. And that'll be a perma. I'll make sure you stay on it.
Oh. There we go. Yeah, we should just add drama to the fucking Insta hide thing now.
People look, dude. If there's some kind of drama that they want to talk about, like, look. Sometimes we talk about goofy shit up in here. I didn't say we can't laugh. I didn't say everything's now a serious, fucking, boring ass lecture all the goddamn time. I just said that when the conversation is happening, you will conduct yourself like an adult in that conversation, and if you are like a child in that conversation, you'll be banned out of here. Not all drama is necessarily bad, but yeah, if there's somebody that's in here just to propagate some stupid drama that's boring to me, yeah, they'll get shit on and banned and permed out of here. Because that's what kids do. I'm not running a fucking daycare anymore in my streams. Now what? No more daycare. I've been accused of being draconian by these same fucking people that come in here and do this shit for years. So now I am. It's not nursery school up in here. Zero tolerance. Now you get it. Their next stop will be the subreddit. I'm modded over there too. I did a little purge of that place just a few days ago. There's nowhere they can go that has any significance to me or my show or anything I'm connected to that I don't have the ability to nuke their fucking asses out of existence. And I'll do it. Sick of babysitting. Sick of making fucking obviously adult 18 plus motherfucking content. And then dealing all fucking day with a bunch of people who don't know how to act like adults. Thanks, Naughty Priest. I appreciate it. Put a little love in, or a little light in my life, huh? Well, I've got a lot of light in my life, but, you know, $50 shines another little one on me. So I appreciate that, Naughty Priest, as always. There's a reason why the people that have wrenches in here have them. They're ruthless people. And they're willing to take my lead and do the things that I tell them to do to make this chat a better place for people. And you better believe there's several other people I know I could wrench up. We're going to fix this shit. I would rather look at my chat and see a bunch of grays and the fucking white shit that I can see that isn't somebody being removed or banned permanently is something I can actually read that adds to the fucking context of what I'm talking about, or proposes a really good new topic, or is funny or insightful or adult, perceivably adult in origin. Nope. You don't get a Discord. This is where you chat. And you will conduct yourself like an adult in this chat. There's too many children for me to run a Discord. But I can run this motherfucker. Bad idea? I don't care what you think about it. You better have more than just 2 words with no justification, though, the next time I see your Rubik's Cube dumb fucking looking ass. Or I'm gonna ban you. You're acting like a child. You're acting like a petulant little kid sitting in the back of the class getting a D- and going, oh, this sucks. Think you meant the Discord was a bad idea? Well, then fine. I exonerate thee. The beautiful thing is kids like to hang around older, cool kids, but when they're excluded from participating in the chat, what happens? Adapt. Right. I mean, I don't know exactly how many, but I know for a fact that there are people that are under 18 that watch me that come in and out of the fucking chat sometimes, and I would never know. Because they conduct themselves like adults conduct themselves. Like they're willing to like take seriously what's going on, and they don't type like fucking straight out crazy Zoomers that are still in 5th grade. This content is not made for 5th graders. That's true, Brianna. Like, trust me, if I was some draconian fuck that banned people for bad takes and disagreeing with me, Brianna Camp would have been my first ban a long time ago. The first of many. But to this day, I don't think that she's ever been banned. And if she has, she hasn't been banned in a long fucking time. since many unbans ago. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding, Brianna. I'm just giving you a little shot. Taking a little shot to the ribs. Yeah, that is true. You did ask me to ban you that one time. No, like, it is what it is, dude. Like, there are tons of people in here that don't agree with me, parrot my fucking talking points, that challenge me, that disagree with me, that participate with me, sometimes daily up in here. But they know exactly how to, they know how to present themselves as adults and make adult arguments. Even if I find those arguments flawed or downright stupid, they know how to present arguments and take part in a flow of a conversation. What's going on over there? Who's yelling? It's not like people are like fucking fighting over there. Sounds like people are scrapping over there. Yeah. Either that or they're just like real. Is it like a football game or a soccer game or something?
Maybe. It's Saturday.
Because it's like, that could be like sports celebration, or that could be people like a few people yelling and screaming at each other. There's no way for me to even tell where that's coming from. It's across the field for me. Across about a 2-acre field. Or 3-acre field.
Oh, it's a UFC thing.
Oh, UFC. Okay. See? Dude, I'm telling you, like, I'm glad I thought about it, because immediately my mind went to like, oh my God, people are fighting. But then I was like, wait a minute. I've been to sporting events and like sport parties and shit. He yelled because you ban him. Him and his friends are over there like, oh, hell no, man. This motherfucker banned us. No, that's cool. Yeah, it's a UFC fight tonight, I guess. I'll almost guarantee that's what it is, because it got all boisterous for a minute and then calmed right down. So somebody must have knocked somebody out or some shit. Do you see this shit, though? This is a good object lesson. Do you see how easy it is for people to misinterpret things? And why calling the cops is almost never a good idea unless you're absolutely sure that somebody's life is in danger? Can they hear me? No, I'm not. I couldn't even hear what they were saying. I could just hear the insinuation of like, rah, 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 and they were screaming at the top of their fucking mouth. So if they can hear me, they hear, you know what I mean? If that. So this is, what I was saying is, this is another example of why you don't fucking call the cops unless you know the context. Especially in America, right? Because somebody could hear that from my distance away and go like, oh, those people are fighting. But there's a fucking UFC fight on tonight, and I'm in an area that there's a lot of people into it. Isaac, you're about to get banned. You're not funny, and this is not the time. In fact, fucking stop babysitting this idiot. Just ban him. It's a good point. The only time I called the cops was when I got into a bad car accident. Right. And I've talked about the weird, slippery kind of fucking dynamic of this too before, and I think it bears mentioning again, since, we're kind of going down this road a little bit. You remember, Amelia, that fight that we heard on our porch? Of course, we've talked about it before. Back when we lived in Louisiana, there was a verbal altercation that we heard between two people, a man and a woman. And
we sat out there for a while.
We were out smoking like we're doing now, and we heard them and we could hear some of the shit they were saying too. It wasn't like they were that far away from us. They were in our same apartment complex, one building over, right out in the parking lot where we parked our car. You know what I mean? Like, it was right there. And it sounded like a fight that could very easily get violent, But until I could hear that it was going to that point, until somebody said help or gun or some shit like that, I wasn't about to be the one to call 911. Because if it's just two people having a lover's quarrel or whatever, and I get the fuck out of here, like, and I'll say it because it's relevant to what I'm talking about. These were African American people. This was two black people having an argument in the parking lot. So if I'm going to call the cops on two black people, you better damn well believe that I have to know that somebody's killing somebody. Because if it's just a verbal altercation, dude, I've been in those. I've been in yelling, screaming matches with my fucking exes and shit. So for me to call the cops on a couple of black people and risk them being like fucking shot, I have to be goddamn motherfucking sure that there's violence, or I, have very little or no reasonable doubt that there will be violence if I don't call the cops. What about domestic abuse? That's what I'm talking. See, like what I heard, and maybe you can chime in. You were there, and you probably remember it too, right? Mm-hmm. It didn't seem like there was an aggressor and a victim in what we were doing. Yeah. Do you remember like how they were yelling at each other?
It seemed like an equal opportunity shouting match.
Right, exactly. It wasn't like one person in the fight going like, "You're a piece of fucking shit," and the other person like, crying or screaming or saying, "Please don't hurt me." Yeah. It was like, "You're a fucking piece of shit. No, you're a fucking piece of shit, motherfucker. Kiss my ass." It was that type of shit, right? So it did not sound like a fight where somebody was being domestically abused or bullied in any way or hurt in any way physically.
There was some broken bottles, but...
Well, somebody, like, yeah, that was the thing. Is like somebody, I don't know if it was bottles, because somebody was like trying to move out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He just dropped his shit or whatever.
See, the way I remember it, and I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I was listening because I didn't want anybody to get hurt. But I felt like I had a duty to make sure that this was just a domestic dispute and not somebody's going to get fucking hurt before I just called 911. In a perfect world, you could just call 911 and make a report, and somebody without a gun shows up and goes, "Hey guys, is everything okay? Can I facilitate and help you guys out?" And somebody that's trained in de-escalating people that are in fucking emotionally compromised situations like breakups and shit, right? But it double, especially if we're talking about people of color. Double, like I wouldn't call on people, white people either. But I'm just saying, especially double, especially if it's a person of color, because they are disproportionately slain by the police. Oftentimes unarmed, and oftentimes in the commission of no crime.
It's like you've said yourself that you've had shouting matches before that like could have easily been called on.
Yes. Yeah. I've had like yelling matches in the same apartment that we grew up with, and I'm not trying to blow anybody up, but I've had volatile relationships. Me and Ashley used to go at each other verbally. Yeah, blah, 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 yeah, loud and angry. Never had the cops called on me.
Yeah, so, and being experienced with that, you know when it's like an argument versus
right.
It's about to go down.
Dude, well, that's the thing, is like sometimes you don't, but
you understand.
Like you can't, there's no number you can call where somebody that's trained in conflict mitigation will show up and check on things. They send an armed thug with a gun. And then you double down on the worry when you're looking at two African American people having an argument in the parking lot of your fucking building and going like, "Oh, should I fucking do something about it?" You know what I mean? Because you know that the cops are highly more likely, especially down south. You know that the cops are highly more likely to be racist or enforce the law in a way more heavy-handed manner, or enforce no law at all and just be heavy-handed with a person of color.
I honestly agree with that. I mean, it seems like a lot of the big things lately have been in like Minnesota and stuff.
Well, you mean the South thing?
Yeah, like I don't know if that's like a blanket.
I will tell you this about the South. a lot of the incidents like that happen in the South don't ever blow up into big old news stories because the prevailing culture is swept under the rug. You can ask TJ and fucking Scotty about the type of shit that goes on down there. Black people are gaffled up down there, and it's not a big fucking news story because nobody's there to cover it because there's really nobody around that wants it covered.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like,
you know what I mean?
It's hard to
It's
judge them
right.
the same. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just they're different cultures, right? So yeah, something like this happens in Minnesota, it's gonna immediately get fucking national media attention because that's the North. But down south, there's a 50-50 chance it just gets swept. And there are so many names of black and brown people that have been slain in the last 10 years in hate crimes and senseless killings. Some of them racially motivated, some of them gang motivated, but so many names of black and brown people that have been slain by police in the last 10 years in comparison per capita to the names of white people that have been slain in the last 10 years, that there's no question in my mind that there's uneven racism being applied in policing. And that's why I'm careful when I call the cops. I live around Hispanic folks now. If there's you guys remember that cool mariachi music that somehow drifts over the fucking wind sometimes when I'm out here? It's coming from the same direction as that shit came from. And if I was a pearl-clutching person, I might have been like, well, let me just report this. And the cops would be talking to people who are just fucking over there having a couple beers and watching UFC. You see what I mean? Oh yeah, dude, small town prosecutors and cops are pretty much uniformly fucking corrupt. Well, I've lived in apartments for the last 10 years, and it shocks me that there is never a sense of community and camaraderie between neighbors. It's just a misconception of larger societal problems. I mean, it's whether you consider it a societal problem is up to you, I guess. I do, but what it's really a reflection of is the changing of communities, particularly in America, right? There are places in the world where this type of kind of like, fuck you, neighbor, I'd live on my own. It's not like we're the only place in the world that has this. And there are places in the world that have been like this longer than America has. You know what I mean? But the sense of kind of like neighborhood and community dies with my mother's generation. I've talked to you guys a little bit about my mother and how she perceives herself and her community. And you've met my mom a couple times, so you know what you've seen how there's like a pecking order in her neighborhood, but it's all based around the sense that the people that live near her, she takes a little bit of ownership for their well-being and health. Not totally. She's not their caretaker. She looks after their dogs, their kids. She knows their names. You know what I mean? She knows who to look out for if there's trouble in the neighborhood. She's an old school neighbor. A little bit metiche, but an old school neighbor nonetheless. And that's dead. You know, like with my mom's generation, maybe the generation directly, maybe my generation, that anybody that even wants that is dead. Because I'm telling you, like, I've watched it change too. Like when I was a kid, I don't mean to paint, like you guys have all seen the 80s throwback movies and shit. Yeah. Kids riding around the neighborhood and everybody knows them and they go, you better watch yourself, Billy Thompson, you ride that bike too fast. All right, Mr. McGregor. You know what I mean? Like everybody knows everybody. Yeah. That ain't a joke. In small town America, which I grew up in, everybody, at least in your fucking neck of the woods, kind of knew who you were at a glance.
And I mean, like, the way the housing market is so commoditized or whatever, it's like, people don't stay put no more. Like, buying a house isn't always your first house anymore. You don't just settle down in a neighborhood. You're bouncing around. You're
Right. I don't know, dude. It's just changed. People's ability to set down roots in this country has diminished, and apartment blocks are inherently, like, you would think they would foster a sense of community. And there may be apartment blocks, like, I mean to paint every apartment community the same. I am sure that there are apartment blocks, or at least patches of parts of apartment blocks, where the people that live in the same building all kind of know each other and their kids know. Like, we saw that happening actually in our apartments.
yeah.
Like, but the problem is that, like, apartment blocks are comprised of people with kids, people with no kids, single people, married people, people who are dating, people who are divorced. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the old neighborhoods where it was like married couple, kids, married couple, kids, married couple, kid. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying for good or for ill, but people choose a different way now. Like, people aren't breeding at the rate that they used to breed. And largely people in your generation, especially millennials and fucking people slightly younger than you, are making the fucking choice to not have kids. They're just like, you know what? Fuck that. They're looking down the barrel of all the shit that's expected of them in this weird fucking life. And they're going like, all right, well, maybe I'm not going to complicate that with kids. And rightfully so. More people should be thoughtful about that. But the end result is, where's the commonality now? What brings me together with the lady that lives next door to me that's got 3 kids? I don't have any kids to go play with her kids, so we're not going to be introduced through mutual children, playing around in the same area. So, you know what I mean? That sense of community is just evaporated. And I'm not saying I was any better. Like, I'm part of that. I lived in that apartment. You got to try and help me figure it out.
I think it was.
When did the tinderbox burn down?
Or maybe it was 2 years.
When did the 24-hour show happen? What year was that?
Yeah, I'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure it was 2 years. But...
Somebody will probably be able to tell me in the chat. You probably don't even have to go look. People are fucking quick on the draw with this shit. There are some people out there that have that fucking trivia on lockdown. 2017 sounds right. Mid 2018 sounds right as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've gotten those too. Right before the Louisiana meetup. So right before, it was a couple months before you and I got. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe not a couple months, like a month, right? Yeah. Before you and I. No,
it was a month. I got there in the beginning of August.
Right.
It was the beginning of September.
So wait a minute now. Wait. So what? Wait a minute. No, you weren't. So the tinderbox burned down like almost a year before you and I even met.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about. I thought you were using a different point of reference. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. This happened at the time when the house almost burned down and killed everybody. Right after the 24-hour show. Mm-hmm. So that had to be like 2017, 2018. Mm-hmm. I lived in that apartment and I never met a neighbor until I moved out, like a couple months before I moved out, really. I was introduced to my downstairs neighbors like 3 months before I moved out of that place. And so I was there for a good like 3 years probably or so, give or take. 2 years, 3 years, something like that. Happened July 2018. Yeah, that sounds about right.
So it was like 2 years then.
Yeah. So, I didn't know a single neighbor until a couple months before I moved out of that place. In the area that I live now, I know one neighbor. And by no, I mean we exchanged phone numbers in case one of us sees something going on the other's property and we can call and make sure everything's okay. We look after each other's animals and shit like that. You know what I mean? Watch each other's mailboxes, etc. But that's it. You know what I mean? I don't know my next doors here. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really have next doors, but I know the people that live over here. I don't know the people that are across the field.
Oh, Jesus. You're going to honk your horn and rev your engine.
Dude, the UFC celebrations, dude. People are gassed up. Somebody beat the fuck out of somebody in a fucking brutal fashion tonight. and everybody's blowing off a little steam, you know? It is a Saturday night, you know? And there's a lot of steam to be blown off nowadays, isn't there? Thoughts on the hammer and sickle being similar to the swastika? No.
Like, you know how many Russians died fighting the Nazis?
Right. I mean, they're two different eras, and yes, atrocities were committed under, Lenin and Stalin. So, I wear this because it was a gift. It also has, would you prefer I put this imperialistic power forward? Isn't it true that nuclear submarines from America are equivalent to swastikas? In short, no. There's this little thing in the world called nuance. You think so? You think so what? This is the same person that I misunderstood earlier.
Yeah.
So I don't want to misunderstood same person again. But that Rubik's Cube is starting to... I'm telling you, man, I got a sweet nose. Not the same. Oh. Tell me more. 1 million Iraqis were killed in Operation Iraqi Freedom and the subsequent sub-operations alone. Just in that country, 1 million casualties. Not including American casualties and foreign support casualties. Just 1 million Iraqis in that war alone. Somewhere, and the estimates for how many VC fighters and revolutionaries were killed in America's long and protracted presence in Vietnam is somewhere around 1.4 to 2 million, right? Or more. Sure. Yeah. I'll take a little. Oh, my coat? Is that what you said? Oh, no. I thought you said, I don't want a coat. I'm fine. How much blood in the world is on the hands of American imperialism? Has anybody ever done the fucking math? What's been the cost of the ongoing American Holocaust against the global South? Not to diminish what happened to the Jews, not to diminish what the Nazis did or excuse it. But let's be real here. Oh, I wasn't even going to mention the Native Americans, but, lest we forget. Got to count that too. Multiple tribes of indigenous people functionally wiped from the face of the earth. Mexican-American War, California just basically stolen from Mexico, and the people that were put on it put to slavery, basically. Sent to fucking, Catholic re-education camps and shit. Yep, entire civilizations destroyed by us. This is just in the lifetime of the country that I live in, represented here. So I'm perfectly willing to excoriate the country that flew this symbol, but I have way more influence in the country that truly flies this one. Still very little, but I'm a citizen of this one. I'm not a citizen of this one. I'm not explaining the hat. I'm using it as a visual aid. The hat has no explanation. It was given to me by a friend who gave it to me separately. He gave me a cool hat that he had because he served in the military, and he gave me this pin because he served in Crimea and got this in the Czech Republic or something for $1 or some shit. And he thought I'd like it. And so I pinned this to this. You know what I mean? So that I wouldn't lose it because I thought it was cool looking and because I thought it was a neat gift. There's no like symbolism behind this shit. It's just a gift from a friend that I thought was cool, but I'm using it as a visual aid to make the point that I'm making. No, this is not the duality of man or whatever. It was just a convenient hat for me to have chosen for this topic that I had no idea was going to come up tonight. I'm sorry, but seeing American flags flying from pickups is getting annoying. Well, stop looking at it, because it's going to keep happening. Born to kill on your helmet, I see. Yeah. Good I get that reference. I get that reference. I get the duality of man reference. The duality of man. What the fuck is that, son? You better shape up or ship out. Are you an American? Sir, yes, sir. And start acting like one. What is this? Some kind of sick joke? More like a statement, sir. A statement. Statement about what? I don't know. The duality of man, maybe? The duality of man. That movie is dark. That movie is great. Full Metal Jacket is a 10 out of 10 film. But it's a little dark. I'm not going to lie. But, well, more than a little dark. But, oh my God, 10 out of 10. You want to know what the funny thing about that movie is? It is dark as fuck, and it actually Hollywoodizes and sanitizes the Vietnam War to a grand extent. It's actually really bad at portraying what the lives of most soldiers were like because it was cleaned up and studioized and scriptized a little bit. It's actually way more fucking accurate than most Vietnam films are. It's not done to the same extent as some other Vietnams mythologize and romanticize it. No, Vietnam was not crazy, Joanne. Vietnam was not fucking crazy. Okay, Caitlyn Jenner is a little bit crazy. Vietnam was an absolute, unmitigated bloodbath on both ends and on all ends of the conflict. It was a nightmare scenario. It is absolutely almost impossible to not Forrest Gump a conflict like that. You know what I mean? The inhumanity on display, the senseless violence and human degradation of the Vietnam War is unfucking believable. Unbelievable. The lasting, echoing repercussions of that senseless, violent, bloody nonsense. Still to this day, rippling around the world like some fucking horrible explosion of malintent. And we haven't stopped acting that way as a country with foreign policy either. I agree, Nod Carb. We haven't. We're doing it right now in the global south, all over the world, militarily and economically. We're prosecuting the same kind of fucking rank exploitation all over this fucking planet. Stealing the minerals from under the feet of the people who rightfully own them. Stealing the land away from farmers who rightfully and fucking cyclically use the land so it doesn't go fallow. And turning it into giant fucking factory farms to feed our endlessly hungry gullet. So that American fucking supermarkets can still have a mountain of oranges in them when you go in there. Do you think every one of those oranges sells before they start going bad? Newsflash, they don't. We've stolen uncounted acres of indigenous farmland in South America and Central America to feed our need to pretend that everything's okay by piling our produce high. What's the death toll of this? What's the cost in human misery and instability on a geopolitical scale in all of the things I'm talking about and all the things I'm not? I haven't even mentioned our constant monkeying with democratically elected governments, our constant usurpation and supplantation of democratically elected leaders in different parts of the world that just happen to have an agenda that isn't going to let us run roughshod. The damage that this has done is at least on par with the damage that this ever did. The only functional difference is that the country represented by this anachronistic symbol fell apart in the late 90s or late 80s, early 90s. And the country that this symbol represents is still prosecuting its rape of the planet and everybody around it. Best Kubrick film. Do I even have to pick one? Can't I just say all of them? Best Kubrick film, yes. Can I get away with that fucking fence riding at least tonight? I've taken a number of bold positions tonight and reiterated a number of bold positions. Can I not equivocate? Can I not hedge one time tonight, please? Some mariachi. Can hear the oompa. Some norteño playing. Some Jalisco. Bump, 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 bump. You personally think that humans will go extinct or survive in smaller and more austere cities / tribes? I really honestly don't know if you're... I really don't. It depends on the nature of the collapse, how it unfolds, and a lot of fucking future events that I don't think anybody can fucking predict with any degree of certainty. It's like, we know that the ecological collapse is coming. We know that a climate refugee crisis of unprecedented and absolutely historical nature is happening now. Actually, I almost said on the cusp of happening, but it's been happening for about 10 years now, and it's just starting to ramp up in a way that people are not able to fucking not pay attention to, because it's accelerating. People are fleeing these areas of the world in greater numbers, and nobody has any plan for what to do with that. And I don't mean that as the people are a thing. I just mean that the challenges that presents. And I'm not only talking about people from outside of one country moving into another country. I'm talking about people from within one country moving into another place in that same country, because where they used to live was a coastal place that's now underwater, or so polluted they can no longer fucking live in it, or so humid that they can no longer live in it. So there's going to be an unprecedented number of people fleeing the big cities and moving to rural areas, making the need for new infrastructure in places where there is none. And that's just counting in America. That's if America existed in a vacuum. When you take into account the people that will be coming here from all over the world, fleeing poverty, destitution, and an unlivable climate in the next 50 years, you're talking about an apocalyptic event.
You know what it's going to be?
What?
Michigan. It's got the fresh water. It's pretty far north.
Well, no, see, water is going to be a huge commodity. They're going to, like, you heard it straight from the VP's mouth.
It's like, that's why they're going to come around Michigan.
Right. No, I mean, well, I'm just talking about, like, fucking immigrants. People, and most of them are going to cross our northern and southern borders directly by land or by air. But a lot of them are going to come from the world over. We're not even prepared to take care of the people that are here now. We are currently in the midst of an unprecedented homelessness, joblessness, food scarcity crisis, or not food scarcity, but what do they call it? Food poor?
Food insecure.
Food insecure, thank you. Record breaking in this country. So we can't even take care of the people that are here. And we're on the cusp in the next 5, 10, 15 years of a mass influx of people, the likes of which the world has never seen. A mass migration of people, the likes of which we live. And when people say the world has never seen, usually the world has seen something like it. The world has never seen anything like what I'm talking about. There are more people on the planet now than there have ever been in history. There have been mass movements of people to and from areas that you might compare it to, but there have never been this many billion people on the fucking planet. I mean, this is going to be an absolutely world-changing event, and it's 20 years away max. I mean, like I said, 20 years away in terms of it crescendoing. It's already happening now. When you hear people talking about the border crisis and the need to have these big detention facilities where they keep children and shit, I'm not excusing it, but that's a sign of the times, y'all. We don't know what to do with the influx of people that are running from the parts of the world that are becoming unlivable as climate change takes its fucking toll. And the policies in those countries that are affected get more and more draconian and militaristic. People flee. Political refugees, climate refugees, all mixed together in a mass of people desperate to just get somewhere where they can be okay. Get rid of fucking Kevin King, please. Thank you. We'll just have to wait and see if it'll change human nature on the whole, or more likely just give into it and LARP Mad Max movies. Well, I mean, dude, Mad Max movies are cool. What's going to happen to us is not going to be cool. Watch The Road if you want a more accurate description of what's going to happen to the very few people that survive what's coming. If you want to really get depressed. Watch Mad Max if you want to rock the fuck out and have pretentious fantasies about the future being some big gasoline and chrome fucking thing where a dude with a fucking double metal guitar bass combo fucking on bungee cords is slinging around going, you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking dope. But can we all just give up on this whole, like, I guess it's just gonna become Mad Max? No, Mad Max was cool. What's coming is gonna be hopeless, helpless, disgraceful fucking degradation and suffering on a magnitude that's unimaginable. War, poverty, scarcity. It's all right around the fucking bend. The ecosystems upon which we depend are collapsing. And it's happening faster than the best, most bright scientists of every country thought it would be 20 years ago. Based on their most pessimistic models, we're doubling them. A lot of the scientists that are still working on it and the ones that have come up behind them have gone like, climate models way underestimated this. It's happening worse than you think it is, and quicker than you think it is. You better tread lightly tonight, Iscariot. Participate or shut up. Participate or lurk. I'd get caught up before you come in here and like act like this is the fucking bar and Cheers. This is not a place where everybody wants to know your name and everybody's glad you came. Oceans are already acidic, but yeah, they're going to be too acidic to support most of ocean life soon. Manatee be extinct in 100 to 10,000 years. We'll revert to hunter-gatherer after the collapse, if we survive the collapse, which may be nuclear in nature. I mean, you realize now, before all of this shit is really jumping off in its totality, because of this, because of tensions around this, China and India are at each other's throats, both bristling with nukes, both nuclear-armed countries. And this goes on. I bet you haven't heard a news story about it in months. But the tensions remain high and marked along the border of fucking China and India, between two nuclear superpowers. All because of water and access to water. Yep. And shipping lanes. And geopolitical positioning. Yep. India and Pakistan have been at each other's throats since like, fucking forever. Haven't heard a news story about it or a mention about it from anybody because we just prefer to... La la la, la 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 la. No, Well, some of us don't. No, I know. That's what I mean. 2 nuclear superpowers bristling with nukes. Well, 2 military superpowers bristling with nukes, saber rattling each other for the better part of this year and last year. So, and they both have nukes. Yes. I really hope that you're like a couple seconds behind and you're not just trolling. I'm gonna try. All right, you're on the sus list. I'm just letting you know. I don't want you banned now, but you're on the sus list. What are your thoughts on the amount of private bunkers that were and are being built? The very wealthy are very aware of the issues. I thought of this. So here are the limitations of a bunker, okay? A bunker is great if nuclear war comes, if the idea is to survive for some years like Fallout and then come back into the world and have a Fallout video game universe. The truth of the matter is that you don't get rads when you go into a place that's infested with nuclear fallout. You get radiation poisoning and radiation sickness, and you die with clumps of hair falling out of your head and sores all over your body. There's no radaway. There's no suit that you can wear that makes you impervious to the green slime goo that's all over everything from the fallout and the nuclear fucking ash that's all over everything. So even, it's like they're digging their own elaborate graves like the pharaohs of old. Think about it like that. They can't dig a hole deep enough to put enough food to sustain them forever. They're going to eventually have to come out of their hole, and they're not going to leave. There's not enough room for what they're going to need. Vault tech doesn't exist. There's no way to functionally sustain enough people on the planet to repopulate the planet after that. And there's no way to guarantee that the planet will even be populatable again by human beings after what's done to it during nuclear winter and the fallout that ensues after a mass nuclear war. So it's not a video game, folks. It's not Judge Dredd. It's not Terminator. Okay? They're digging their own fucking pharaoh's tombs. And when the time comes, the best they can do is lock themselves in. Clean up on aisle 12. We got a child in the chat. It's not like we're going to be like Brendan Fraser and Blast from the Past. Yeah, no. Opinion of on environment, Biden. Shit. Nothing yet. Nothing but band-aids on bullet wounds. Shows the intent to continue fracking. Shows the intent to continue subsidies for oil companies. Shows the intent to continue the rape of the global south. Shows the intent to continue deforestation of the global south and the stealing of mineral wealth out from under the feet of the people that own it in the global south. Shows the intent to continue being an imperialistic military power. So Biden on the environment, 0.0. Nothing, nada. How's that harm reduction? Where's that bully in Biden? Are you feeling better yet? You shouldn't be. That's my score. He's a are you feeling better yet? Well, you shouldn't be out of 10. A typical Republican, like everybody knew he was going to be. That's not something like, you're right, but I mean, like, even the dumb fucks that voted for him this time around were like, let's be honest, he's just a typical fucking middle of the road guy, but Trump though. Gotta reduce that harm. Let's funnel our passion into this. Yay, AOC! I think that Biden has actually been remarkably. What did she say in that dumb fuck video that I retweeted? Can't even remember. From a Zoom meeting today. It's like every time she does one of these, she reveals what she is in it. She was like, I think the Biden administration has been really good, or whatever the fuck it was. It was like, oh my God. It's like, gag me with this exceeded expectations. Yeah, if your expectations were literally under the dirt. Yeah, talked about how Biden's a good faith actor or whatever the fuck. She's all about this faith shit. I'm sorry, the era I come from, faith is a bad thing. I know they're different concepts. I know good faith and Jesus is the same concept. I just feel the need to have to explain the joke because there's stupid people that'll clip that and fucking try and pretend like I didn't know the difference. Yep. And what else was there to do for most people? Drop out. Drop out of the system. Start working in your local community with other leftists to create a fucking new way. Start preparing for what you know is coming. Collapse. Building community relationships. Strengthening local community bonds to the best of your fucking ability. Direct action in that way. Or prep. I don't really know what to tell you to do. It's the end of the world. Not today, maybe. Not tomorrow, maybe. Not 20 years from now, maybe. But in most of your lifetimes, probably. Oh. What about a socialist party? I mean, I'm all for I don't think a socialist party will ever gain the traction that we need because it immediately chases away anybody that's a traditional fucking conservative because it's now a boogeyman word to them. So I don't think like an actual like, hey, we're the socialists is ever going to work. But I think that a party focused on labor, like something called like you'd have to name it something like back in the day, there used to be a bunch of different parties in America, like the Bull Moose Party, the Know Nothings, the Whigs, right? All of these different parties had different names that evoked different feelings in people and shit. I think we need something like that. Not some Democrat, Republican fucking nonsense. I think we need something like a common sense party. or a People's Party. Well, that has communist connotations because of the DPRC and other, communist nations. So maybe that wouldn't work. It's a little too dog whistly for the intent, but you know what I mean. Workers, once again, dog whistles some shit that's going to make about 40% of the country go la 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 la. You know what I mean? These are all like buzzwords, right? Workers, oh yeah, Workers' Party. That means communism, socialism, like that Barack Obama. I mean, you get nowhere with that shit. Solidarity Party, maybe, but it's just a little wordy. It's like it's not a word that a lot of people even understand the meaning of anymore. And you need something good, There's like the Justice Democrats. I knew, and I'm not trying to shit on the people that fucking genuinely gave their time to it, especially not Kyle Kulinski. But, you know what I mean? Like, the Justice Dems were fucking doomed from the start because they were Justice Dems. We don't have time to build a labor movement. It might take 50 years to rebuild the labor movement in this country, and that's not a joke. The last time, the last labor movement in America, from when it jumped off to when it succeeded in getting us like the labor staples that we have today, overtime pay, sick leave, the 8-hour workday, laws against children working, etc. So it took about 50 years. You can fact check me on that. It's plus or minus 5 years. We don't have 50 years. I just got done telling you in 30 years there's going to be an unprecedented migration of people that's going to be an apocalyptic event in its own right. Then future resource wars, then fights over water specifically, then nukes, then death, then ecological death. I just lined out the trajectory of mankind for you. And then you just told me, well, I think everybody should focus on doing labor movements first. And then after we've got the strong labor movement rebuilt in a country where it's been systematically dismantled, gutted, and neutered to the point of ineffectuality, right? Then we can start thinking about a third party. No, you better start thinking about third party now, right along with it. Make it hand in hand. Ban fertilizer, please. He's a script kiddie that went to binary translator and typed some shit in to see if he'd get away with it. He's probably fucking 16 and probably shouldn't be up this late because he's probably got fucking homework to do tomorrow. He's probably got to be up early, tomorrow morning for church and shit. Ban him. Thoughts on forced voting? Don't know. I gave my thoughts earlier on this. I think that instead of forced voting, they should add a mandatory, nationwide, every ballot down to the local level, no confidence vote. I think that number is feared more than any number in politics. The amount of people that would show up and vote no confidence. No confidence in their local governments, no confidence in their fucking state governments, no confidence in their fucking, federal level governments. No confidence in the agencies and judicial system. No confidence, party line vote for me if they allowed that. And I'm not alone. Bet your fucking bones, dude. That number, the amount of people that would show up at the polls to vote no confidence, that's the scariest number in politics. They don't want to know what the national numbers on that are. They don't want to know what the local numbers on that are. There are only a couple of states that even allow it in a limited capacity on certain ballots, certain initiatives and shit. That would accomplish nothing. I didn't say it would accomplish something like it's an act that would immediately bring into existence a portal to a world that isn't ruined. I'm just implying that it would be a interesting number to see, especially for people that argue in continued participation in the system. Because you know what? I'm made to look like a dumbass because I choose not to vote because I'm part of the 40% of this country that just goes, fuck it, not showing up. I wonder how easy it would be able to call me a dumbass if you really could see the numbers of people that think just like I do and realize what a hill you've got to climb with those people. Because we've already heard your tap dancing. The reason I'm part of those people that don't get to vote no confidence, the reason I'm part of those people that abstains and is vocal about their abstention is because I've heard your fucking song and dance before. And I've seen what it leads to. I've heard the soft shoe before. Vote third party. You vote third party, Johnny D's nuts. You vote party. Third party. Don't tell me what to vote. I don't vote. I abstain until there's a no confidence vote. What is a vote of no confidence? Like, to put it simply, it means you're casting your vote that you have no confidence that anyone on the ballot or that anyone currently in the electoral system represents you or has the ability to carry forward a functional government that serves your best interests. That is what a vote of no confidence means. I don't really have a favorite leader of the fucking Soviet Union. I'm not a Soviet historian, and nor am I a worshiper of the Soviet way of life. I'm an admirer of the Soviet aesthetic, and that alone in a vacuum. I think the Soviets have a pretty fucking cool, severe, brutalist aesthetic, and I kind of dig that. But I don't make apologetics for their fucking shitty politics over there and shit. Nor do I consider what's been tried, by the way, in the Soviet Union anything close to communism. It was crony capitalism disguised as communism that ruined that fucking place over there. And make no fucking bones about it. There's never been an actual communist state. No, Paul. No, that's a tanky argument, Paul. That's what tankies say, man. No, Paul. It was communism, bro. It was just communism that, like, forced people to work at jobs that they didn't like, that were horribly backbreaking, and funneled all of the labor and fucking capital that came from those, not back to the people in their communities, but to a small group of oligarchs, Paul. It was not crony capitalism. What's the point in trying if it seems like nothing will change? Because within the realm of possibility, you still have life to live and the ability to act with that life. I advocate for people to try in ways that are demonstrably, like, realistic. I asked for people to own up to the fact that we probably got about 20 years before a lot of these crises that I'm talking about really get to a point where they're unavoidable and start to destroy the fucking world as we know it. And stop pretending like we've got fucking 8 cycles to bide our time and slowly but surely get so, especially considering how AOC is doing, because she was one of the arguments for this. Look what we've done. Look at the progressive roster that we have elected and tell me that voting doesn't matter. Look at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and tell me that voting does not matter. This type of pessimism is dog shit, Paul Zico. And now look at her, sucking the dick of the establishment and being a little media celebrity. Just like I fucking said. I understand. All right, I misspoke. Communist and state are a little fucking mutually exclusive, right? True communism is the idea of there being no fucking any oligarchical overarching structure that isn't directly related to serving the people that do the labor. It's true people's ownership of the government and the production of the country and the equal distribution of said ownership. Right? Dostri dostavrakle de brasne de fli hadono stagladi raminstu grafle de snohas de levlong slava Strongla strode viste chala dos tre nostravato dos tre nostrava. No, you're not nitpicking me. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, dude, I'm not a communist. I'm not a socialist. I've studied it a little bit. I've read some of the shit around it. But I'm not a fucking expert in what defines it or its subgroups or what's the difference between this type of you know what I mean? Like, I'm not that guy. I don't advocate for that shit. I can only gibberish my way through that anthem, but it is cool enough that it's stuck in my brain melody-wise up until that point, and then it all kind of falls apart. I did what I could remember of the melody. I think I got it right. Can somebody confirm that I got that right, or was I off on that? Like, not word-wise, obviously, because I was just going, you're right. But, like, melody-wise, I was on that, right? Right? I think it's even in the right key. More than likely it is. $110% correct through and through. Yeah, dude. 110%. Correctamundo. It's important, too, to fucking take time and appreciate that you're alive at a time where you can still smell air that isn't acrid every once in a while. And, hear human beings just engaging in fellowship with one another and listening to music and having a good time. You don't have any idea how lucky you are to be born at a time where those things still exist. Because that fundamental idea, the idea that's drifting in on the wind over here, in the form of that awesome mariachi music, that I can just make out the beat and rhythm and sounds of. I can just hear the accordions. That's the last gasps out there, guys. If I didn't believe this shit, I wouldn't talk it to you. I troll. Not about this, though. And so it's important amidst all of this doomerism that I'm spouting at you to remember that you're alive and that you're here to experience this, and that there is still beauty and fellowship and goodness in people and in the world to be appreciated and protected if you can. You know that you can't shield it from what's coming, but you can try your best to be better to what's around you. That's where those feelings flow from, and it's very important. And this is not something I've talked about a lot in the past, because it's something that has dawned on me in the last couple of years of my life. And I have Amelia to thank for this. She was like an angel that came into my life and reminded me that my world was not the four walls I was living in and the show I was making. Yeah, those are parts of my world, but there's this whole ecosystem around me. There's a sky. There are stars out there at night. And you know what? In the face of all that, I feel very small sometimes, in a good way. Very insignificant. And all of the totterings and teeterings of global imperialism and crony capitalism, as bloody and violent and horrible and abhorrent as they are, for at least a moment, when I really think about it, start to feel small in the grand scheme. And I think it is very important for those of us that espouse this type of ideology to also espouse this type of ideology. You had better appreciate what's here. And I don't just mean the flowers and the birds and the bees and the trees. I do mean all of that. But I mean the sounds of people laughing, a marriage ceremony, having a meal with your family at Thanksgiving, watching the UFC fight, dancing, the sound of people giggling and having a good time in public, concerts. These are all like fucking more precious than jewels, and a lot of people don't understand it. Because we are rapidly approaching a world where these things will be reserved for the ultra rich or non-existent at all on a long enough time scale. There's a richness in this world of experience and beauty that can be appreciated still. And you live at that time, and a lot of you are young at that time, and fuck me, you're lucky. Fuck me, I'm lucky. I've seen a piece of it. I've experienced a piece of it. I've drunk right out of a fucking stream with my bare hands and didn't get sick. A clear, cool mountain snowmelt stream. Reached right in with my fucking hands and just sipped it right from the source of all fresh water and its accumulated mass on this planet. Do you know how privileged I'm going to be able to say that I did that at some point in my fucking life? If I live another fucking 30, 40, 50 years, which I probably won't. I'm saying, man, while you think about these things, and I'm going to spark another fucking doob. Mourn for the future, Marshall, but take a little time for yourself and your beautiful fucking wife, man. I'm not saying you don't, but I'm just saying, don't mourn so much that your eyes are so filled with tears that you don't experience it for yourself. Because you know what? If you leave that fucking diamond sitting on the ground and you don't see it, touch it, taste it before it's gone, you're a young couple, man. And I'll smoke an ounce to that. And that's not just aimed at you, Martin. I'm not saying you're not doing that shit. I'm aiming that at young people in your fucking age range and shit. Of course, dude. And dude, fucking, you know what I see coming out of fucking Maryland? Straight up. Do you know what I see coming out of Maryland? I don't know her as well as I know you, bro. I've never had the pleasure of actually meeting Maryland face to face. But you know what I see coming out of Maryland? Nothing but 100% love and support for you. I know that she is a comfort to you. And dude, that's all I need to know about her. I have a feeling that one day when I do finally get to meet her, and it'll happen, I'm going to like her just as much as I think I'm going to like her. But I don't really need to meet her to like her, because I see the effect she's had on your fucking life. That's beautiful that you have that. It's beautiful that I have what I have. And it's out there. If you don't have something similar to that, it's out there for you to be taken. There's a dude doing donuts. Dude, there's a dude that just hella did a donut in the field, eh? Dude, there was a dude that hella just went in the field and in his truck and did a donut. I didn't have time. He did one big donut and then he fucking pulled off. Maybe he heard what I said and that's his way of saying I agree. Or maybe he takes exception to the shit that I'm talking and wanted to tell me to shut the fuck up. I don't know. Maybe he was just having a fun time and decided to do a donut out here in the country. It looked like it was fucking fun. I was actually kind of jelly watching it happen. Give me a sec, guys. I'm going to go fill up my drink. Don't go anywhere. Let's smoke that J, man. That J needs to be smoked, but I'm going to need something to wash it down. No, dude, this was Order 69, man. Order 69 was invented and implemented today. And it's brutal. Very authoritarian. But you know what? At least tonight, so far since I had the fucking epiphany and laid down the fucking law, led to a pretty fucking decent stream where we've had a good fucking conversation, you know? Shocking. Yeah, I watched Mortal Kombat. It's not even really worth discussing, in my opinion. Well, to be frank with you, I discussed it with fucking Scotty and TJ today at length, and I just don't want to do it again. But I think we did it on a grease trap. So there's a grease trap coming and not that long for our patrons, our $10 patrons, where we discuss at length Mortal Kombat. TJ hadn't seen it yet, but he didn't care about being spoiled. And so me and Scotty basically fucking ripped it to shreds. Really, I think sequels could have a lot of potential, but yeah, no. I didn't say that, like, look, dude, it's actually kind of like, it's a mixed bag. That's the conclusion that me and Scotty came to. And I know that's like a real fucking fence righty kind of like empty conclusion, but it really is applicable in the case of this movie, in my opinion. It is bad, but some parts of it are really good. Like, some of the fatalities are really good. There's a lot of gore, which, like, I bitched forever about how, like, we have Mortal Kombat movies, but hardly any gore, blah, blah. No, they amped up the gore, you know, and shit in the movies, which was cool. They amped up the use of fucking foul language. So it's not like they're trying to squeeze it into PG-13 anymore, you know? So I liked that about it. Some of the fucking character portrayals were pretty good. Some of them are really bad. But overall, the fight scenes and the fatalities that you get to see in the movie, pretty good, you know, overall. Not the best shit I've ever seen, but more than I expected. Better than I expected. But there's a lot of the movie that ain't that. And the parts of the movie that ain't that are, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to put it beyond that. They're not. They really, really ain't that. So you say favorite character. You talking about like favorite character in Mortal Kombat or favorite character in the dumb movie I watched? My favorite character in Mortal Kombat overall is Sub-Zero. The first character I learned how to play, and still my favorite to this day. To, you know, like, I don't play him a whole lot anymore because there's so many people on the roster, to be honest with you. Like in the modern Mortal Kombats. Oh, dude, is he going to do it again? Donut Cam. Is he going to do it? He donut cammed. Cool. You seen it? Yeah, I seen it too. I heard it. Donuts. Donuts. Donut cam, dude. Do you think Noam Chomsky sold out? No, but I don't think that Noam Chomsky was ever like different. You know, like there's a lot of people that say that like I don't know. To some extent I understand why Noam Chomsky is lionized as a philosopher and as a thinker, but on the other hand, like he's, like not right about everything. Like Noam Chomsky remains to this day, even though experiencing many more cycles than I have, a staunch defender of the status quo when it comes to funneling people that listen to his political leanings into the do nothing electoral system. Even as he's one of the greatest people to quote when it comes to criticizing that electoral system for its faults. You know what I mean? So, like, I've never been a huge fan of Chomsky. Like, I respect the dude's intellect. He's clearly a smart guy, but, like, I'm not going to sit and pretend like he's important at all. It's okay, D. So he just did a donut. Go potty? You need to go potty? You don't have to go potty? Okay. You don't have to if you don't have to. I was just telling you, like, that you could go potty. Is there an idiot in here talking about how long I'm going to live and what I'm going to look like or not live to and get old and just fucking... Because it sounds like a high school lunchtime conversation going on. Or are you talking about Noam Chomsky? Either way, kind of a dumb fucking comment. When I bring up, you said something in the earlier stream. You said something like homelessness brings with a number of social ills, i.e. drug abuse, mental health problems, etc. How are these issues directly or specifically tied to homelessness? Aren't these problems ubiquitous? Well, yes, but a profound amount of people that are homeless are not homeless because they decided to be homeless as you are. You would admit that, right? Like the profound amount of people, profoundly, the people that are homeless because they are addicted to drugs, untreated mental illness. Every fucking credible study on the subject has shown this. So, to me, that shows the intrinsic link right there. Gnome is practically 100. Of course, he looks like a crypt keeper who doesn't comb his hair. Yeah, seriously, dude. Like, stop talking about stupid shit. Who cares if Noam Chomsky looks like a gnome? Okay, that's kind of funny. I say I decided because I enjoy it and I brought the van for it, but paid $700 for this thing. And I did it because it was cheaper and much more accessible than a fucking apartment. Right. No, I understand. But you made a choice. Most of the people who live on the streets live there due to having no choice but to live on the streets. Before you went on the cross-country trip and decided to pursue your dream, you were staying in a place, or at least staying in one place. You had a job and shit. Roommate, I think, or whatever, right? So you were making it happen. Or am I misremembering? You were working as, like, in the medical field, right? No way you weren't bringing home enough money to pay for a fucking... You know what I mean? You made a choice. Most people that are living out there on the street are not people that just chose, like, yeah, man, fuck this. I don't want to do this anymore. Which, I'm not criticizing your choice, but you understand the difference between what you did. I lived with my mom before this and had a shitty laundry job, but my mom... You said, didn't you? I could have sworn you said you worked at a fucking medical place. Had a mask up and shit. Medical laundry. Oh, okay. Right. So you weren't in the best of fucking positions, but, like, you couldn't have got a fucking roommate? Like I said, you don't strike me as somebody who's in, like, and I'm not saying that this is good. Like, being well adapted to a profoundly sick society is no measure of mental health, right? So I'm not making a judgment about you, but it sounds like you're, after hearing you lucidly talk for hours and hours, or not hearing, but, reading your words for hours and hours, you strike me as a person who is more than capable of getting a roommate and using that medical laundry job or some other job that you probably could have gotten to support yourself. So most people are not rubber tramping by choice. Most people that live in their cars because they have nowhere else to go. They don't have a mom to live with. They don't have most of them don't have a car to sleep in. Not a functional one, anyway. You see the difference? Like, do you understand? Now, like, are we still talking past each other here? Am I misrepresenting things? Paul, do you think there is any relevance to the monist view of shared consciousness? I feel like there's quite a bit of evidence for this from some hallucinogen. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can go down that fucking dusty trail with you right now, dude. I don't know. I don't think consciousness is fully understood, but I don't actually think the fabric of reality is fully understood. In fact, neither do scientists. So it's just like, the nature of how we perceive things is so fucking malleable in philosophy, and for good reasons, but it sort of ends up usually turning into like a cyclical conversation when I have it. Because it's true, perception is reality, and if that's true, psychology is reality. You're not looking at a wall. You're looking at your brain's interpretation of whatever light is available bouncing off of that wall and into your retina. And who the fuck knows, really, for real, how well your brain interprets that data and turns it into conscious experience. Why is it that I can stare at a wall, right, and feel one thing about it because it reminds me of a wall that I grew up near? A wall at an old relative's house, but you can fucking stare at the same wall and be bored out of your mind by it and not have a single fucking thought other than, wow, what an ugly old stucco wall. The difference is experience, and that can't be quantified in consciousness. So therein lies one of the problems of consciousness. Perception is everything. Because here's the thing, when you're dealing with human beings especially, but on top of that, this is not just related just to human interactions, but when you talk about human interactions on a mass scale, on a micro scale, between people that are married, between people that are dating, between people that are watching, and people that are creating, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much interplay. And there's so much diversity of opinion, and there's so many reasons why people take opinions, that it's impossible to quantify anybody as anything but an individual. And it's impossible to examine that person in any real way that has any scientific backing, that has anything to do with how and what and who, and that's the big question, who they are, outside of psychology. And that's our best stab at it. We don't even really, science can't even really properly define consciousness. And most scientists that study the brain and study this, as part of their, main body of work would back me up on that, as far as I know and have read. Like, when it comes to a full ability to account for what consciousness is, science hasn't gotten there yet. We don't know. We're one of only a few animals that has the ability to have that kind of higher functioning brain shit at the level that most people would imply consciousness. But then again, there are people that say that there's been gatekeeping in that, and that studies of animals, and as we learn more about animals and their natural environment and stuff, that we've vastly underestimated how much of this rudimentary consciousness exists in animals, and how much it drives their lives and their experience. So it's a fucking topic that's like a I don't know, man. It's like a big, deep fucking shark pit, because everybody's consciousness is functionally different. The way I interpret the world is functionally different from, now there may be a lot of commonality. I might look and say something's blue and you might say it's blue too. But that's not a functional difference in the way that we see the world. What I'm talking about is I might look at something that's blue and see the object, and you might just see the color. I might regard the object and appreciate it for the aesthetics of the blue that is part of the object. You might see just the blue. It's not like either one of us is correct. It's just that we have a vastly different experience doing fundamentally the same things. So this is why human beings, while I think it's interesting to study human beings in terms of a mass sociological level, and there certainly is group psychology and mass psychology, I don't mean to undercut these things, but when it comes to being a person on this planet, there's really no way to deal with people other than as individuals. And when you do that, it strips away a lot of the fucking preconceptions that a lot of people bring to the table. And it becomes easier, in my opinion, to talk to people like human fucking beings. Like, in a way that people are gonna fucking vibe with. Which is important. You know what I mean? There are people out there that appreciate no bullshit, straight to the fucking point, honest, opinionated, heartfelt passion. And in my opinion, there needs to be more of it. There needs to be more people doing donuts just for fun. You know what I mean? atoms are not conscious. They're not even living. Only when atoms combine are more complex things made. Sure. True. There needs to be more people singing their hearts out on street corners and sleeping where they want. I mean, sure. Sure. I agree. More donuts and more bump and bass. And more goodbyes. Unfortunately, one last time, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for those that donated and just those that hung out and participated. It was actually pretty fun. There was a salt explosion. You guys remember? Hold up, let's do a recap. You guys remember? Let's be real about it. There was a salt explosion. Am I right in that assessment? There was a salt explosion. Yes. But we fucking came out of the salt explosion and had a good talk, did we not? We fucking came out of it like a glider and fucking opened our wingsuit and turned a horrible plummet to death into a pretty cool conversation, did we not? Good.